Dallas retired. Shouts out to Dirk Nowitzki. Dallas retired his jersey the other day. Dirk Nowitzki is one of the one of the greatest basketball players the league has ever seen. And shouts out to Kendrick Perkins. I'm gonna kind of take what he did. He did a top 5 international players ever, and I'm gonna do that because there have been some great international players. We've had Tony Parker, we've had Sabonis, we've had Marc Gasol, we've had Manu Ginobili. The league has been blessed with great foreign players. But I'm gonna give my top 5. Now that doesn't mean if you don't land on the top 5, you're my top 5. I mean, it doesn't really matter because it's my top 5. But let me start with number 5. And number 5, I have Pau Gasol. Now, a lot of people were like, wait, what about Tony Parker? What about Manu? What about Domantas Sabonis? Again, there's been some Yao Ming. There's been some great international players, but I think Pau Gasol's greatness was overshadowed by Kobe, but not in a bad way. Like Kobe didn't trash Pau or nothing. But I think I'll say this: Pau Gasol's greatness was overshadowed by Kobe, but Kobe would not be as great as he was and as successful as he was, especially after Shaq, if it was not for Pau Gasol. And Kobe said that, rest in peace to Kobe. But Pau Gasol is Pau Gasol, man. Pau Gasol was good in Memphis, and he was absolutely phenomenal with the Lakers, coming up big, and especially the championship series against Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic, against the Boston Celtics. Pau Gasol was that dude, man. Hell, Pau Gasol, even though he wasn't the same Pau Gasol for the Lakers, but Pau Gasol was good for the Chicago Bulls. Hell, remember when it could have been Derrick Rose, Pau Gasol, and Carmelo Anthony with like Carlos Boozer and them? Like, come on now. And this was before Carlos Boozer was was not good. So I have Pau Gasol at number 5. Pau Gasol, to me, he's a very underrated. When we talk about great international players, you don't really hear Pau Gasol's name a lot, or Marc Gasol at that. But you don't really hear Pau Gasol's name. But I think Pau Gasol, honestly, is one of the best players that we've ever seen. So I have Pau Gasol number 5. Number 4, I have Steve Nash. Canadian Steve Nash, 2 MVPs. I think won a championship with the Lakers. Won a championship somewhere, didn't he? He didn't win a championship. Steve Nash. Steve Nash is one of the best point guards we've ever seen. A lot of people, when we talk about top 10 or top 5 point guards, of course, Steve Nash name might get thrown in there. Chris Paul might get thrown in there. Jason Kidd. Steve Nash was cold. Steve Nash was cold for Dallas, and he was cold for the Suns, man. Steve Nash is tough. And yeah, man, Steve Nash is tough. Steve Nash, bro. Hell, if it wasn't for a hip check, Steve Nash might want to have a championship. If it wasn't for a hip check against the Spurs, Steve Nash might have a championship. And Amari Stoudemire getting suspended. Steve Nash is tough. So I have Steve Nash at number 4. Number 3, I have Giannis. I mean, you look at his young career and all these accomplishments. He's already won his championship. He's already won an MVP or 2 MVPs. He's already won a Finals MVP. He's already won a Defensive Player of the Year. He's already won an Offense All-Star Game MVP. Giannis is just that dude. I think he won Most Improved. Like, Giannis, when it's all said and done, Giannis might be one of the most decorated players out. I don't know how many championships he'll win anymore, but he'll be one of the most decorated players we've ever seen. And he is one of the most unstoppable players, especially when he has a full head of steam going north or south. He's a blur. And he had a 50-point game closeout in the NBA Finals last year. Giannis is tough, man. And I know it's still early in his career, but even early in his career, Giannis is, I think it's like, year 8 or 9? Giannis is tough. So I have Giannis at number 3. Number 2, I have Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki is one of the greatest shooters the league has ever seen, and of course, he made the famous one-legged fadeaway that has now been, donned and by Kevin Durant does it. Joel Embiid does it, which is another foreign player that could land on this list soon. Dirk Nowitzki revolutionized the game as far as shooting big men. When we talk about the evolution of big men, of course you look at there's only one Shaq. There's never going to be a Shaq again. But you look at like a Kevin Garnett, you look at it like Amari Stoudemire, you look at Dirk Nowitzki. Though they've kind of shaped how we look at big men today. And Dirk to me is the best out of all three of them, and it's fitting that he had his number retired the other day because Dirk is one of the reasons why international basketball is so big. And getting players internationally is so huge. In fact, it's already been on record that, and he said it, that Luka Doncic would not be Luka if it wasn't for Dirk. So I have Dirk at number 2, man. He's one of the greatest shooters ever. He's one of the greatest big men ever, and he's revolutionized the game of basketball as far as shooting big man and international play. So at number 1, I have Hakeem Olajuwon. A lot of people don't put him in. A lot of people, when we talk about some of the greatest big men, Hakeem Olajuwon's name very rarely gets mentioned, which is unfortunate to me because, we know what he did with the Rockets. He won 2 championships, and Hakeem Olajuwon, the Dream Shake, he's one of the best offensive bigs we've ever seen. And let me not disrespect that man. He's one of the best bigs we've ever seen of all time. When we talk about top 5, a lot of people throw in Shaq, a lot of people throw in Wilt, maybe Kareem, and then to me, my top 5, I have Hakeem Olajuwon in my top 5 as far as bigs of all time. That's how good Hakeem Olajuwon was, and a lot of people overshadow him because the era that he was in. Of course, you had Jordan and the Bulls, you had Shaq when he was with Orlando, but I have Hakeem Olajuwon. Oh, you have Magic too. I forgot about that. And Larry Bird. I have Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon is the number 1 international player we've ever seen, in my opinion. That's my opinion. Who do you believe? Who's top 5 in your opinion? Who do I have on my list, or who do I not have on my list that you do? A lot of people I've heard say maybe Tony Parker, Joel Embiid might be in there. I don't know, but that was my list.